Right, welcome back to the Espresso. So we had Davos this last week. Super interesting. It feels a bit more like a tech conference, but the world's elite gathered in Davos. The vibe shifted from AI's coming to the tsunami is here. The IMF chief warned of a global labor shakeup. Amazon proved them right today. I'm filming on the 28th of Jan. They've announced they're cutting 16,000 corporate roles to flatten the curve. And then Sam Altman laid out his prophecy and says we're just moving to a higher level of abstraction. So is your job disappearing? Is it not? Have you pivoted? Have you not? I'm going to break down three big stories from last week. You can't afford to miss it. I'm going to tell you what it means for you. And if you want to stay employed in the Agentic Age, you've probably got one shot. So let's dive in. I'm going to start with the first story. I've got three. First is this AI tsunami, the 60% shift. So IMF chief Kristalina Georgiev. I'm going to share my screen and you can see. I'll also share these in the show notes as well. Good to read through the actual article. So this is from Fortune. Wake up call. AI is for real. Tell me about it. There we go. AI tsunami coming for young people and entry-level jobs. So what does this actually mean? I think it means different things for different areas and layers of the job market. So we've talked about it a lot. Entry-level jobs, it's super tough. They have been reducing. And I say reducing, I think they've been reducing certainly in large firms. I'm going to stop sharing. Certainly in some large firms, like the traditional, consulting, legal, accounting, things like that. I mean, you just don't need so many junior analysts. You don't need so many junior lawyers. A lot of these entry level tasks are being automated first. So it's making it way harder for Gen Z to enter the workforce. It's a big problem, but there are other options. I think there are many smaller firms that people can look at. I'm in the UK. 80% of people in the UK are employed by SMEs. Not to say SMEs aren't using AI, agentic AI, and all of that stuff. I mean, I use it extensively in my search firm, but there are opportunities for young folks. So don't get disheartened. And then also out of this kind of white collar stuff, plumbers, electricians, carpenters, mechanics. There's some incredible jobs out there. I think you just have to think a little bit more creatively. If you're sitting there and you're like, oh my God, what is my kid going to do? And what should I advise him to do? Maybe don't. Do what makes you, I think your 20s, you've got to go try stuff. You don't have to know what you want to do for the rest of your life. Who knows how things changes? Things are changing at an incredible pace. I think all you can do is control what you can control, and for young people, and I say this to my kids, is go all in, learn, work hard. I think the future belongs to people that adapt. And Jensen Wang I saw a wonderful interview with him, and he talked about, I think the question was, who is the smartest person you know? And he ended up by saying IQ is commoditized. If you are powered by all these different AI agents and LLMs, you can go find the info. But what makes you smart? It's that resilience. It's your ability to grind, to tackle difficult problems, to go through hard stuff, like all of these human things. So go really hard on that, work on that, be able to communicate. Don't just sit behind your phone and like, oh my God, this person texts me, what should I answer? And like I'm hyper offended by this and hyper offended by that. Just get hardcore, get resilient, work hard, go all in. That's my advice to young people. The middle is being squeezed. There's many leaders that are moving out, being cut. There is this, calling this phrase of this mega manager now. A lot of managers now, and there's quite interesting stats around it, are managing many more people than they once were. And then you power that with AI, so things are flattening, and suddenly you're a mega manager and you're managing humans, you're managing AI agents. Maybe you're overworked, you're not managing it all right. I think there's going to be some interesting stuff around that. But the middle is getting squeezed. And then the other thing to all of this, obviously with AI and its various layers to the AI game, if you think about it, and maybe just the basic level is energy. It takes a lot of energy to power these models and all of this stuff. And so I think people, as we move forward, everyone needs to feel like they are getting the benefit globally. It needs to diffuse across the globe. And I think if it doesn't, we risk losing the social permission to operate. And I hope to see many of these big tech firms or data centers start to create energy. Hopefully the prices go down, not up. People benefit. That's all to be seen. If you subscribe to Elon Musk's vision of universal income and we're all going to be maybe just gardening and whatever it might be, that's going to be interesting. So look, the future is not written yet. It's ours to write, and it's going to be interesting to see, of course, how that evolves. But until then, I'm going to do what I can control and do my best, work hard, learn, develop, And the other thing is humans, like we want to feel like we are useful, contributing and stuff, right? And so I think that's really important. So maybe focus on the things that you enjoy, the things that make you happy, and then the money comes, I think. So number 2, huge story. And this story is, it's from today. It's 28th of Jan 2026. And Amazon, I think this was leaked. So I'm gonna pull this up. Amazon confirms 16,000 job cuts after accidental email. They already, if you were following the story in December, I think it was, they already made 14,000 redundant. And these are corporate job cuts. You can argue why. You could say AI. You could say actually, they just need to reduce the headcount, increase profit, and things like that. They employ already around 1.5 million people globally. 350,000 are corporate jobs. So have a look at this article and see what you think. My view on this, and there's also an interesting chart and looking at Amazon's hiring numbers and headcount, and humans are going down, AI agents are going up. There are also a lot of firms that make an excuse of, I'm getting rid of these people because of AI. So I'm not saying Amazon are only getting rid of these people because of AI. Of course, a firm is there to make profit, and one way to do that is to reduce salaries and things like that. But just broadening it out to AI, Amazon, I think, want to get maybe 1-to-1 AI agent to human. I know McKinsey announced in the next 18 months they want to do 1-to-1. And again, there was some wonderful. I think it was Jensen. I think it was Jensen who mentioned this. Well, maybe one of the other tech CEOs. About Nadella, the Microsoft CEO, said that it's almost like infinite minds now, where you as a human are micro kind of directing, and then your AI agent is doing the macro work. I think that's going to be very interesting. So you have all these agents, whatever, depending on what job you do, of course, out there doing the macro work, and you're micro organizing and directing them. I think that's going to be extremely interesting to see how that pans out. So let's see if there's more layoffs, there's more kind of recalibrating. But I think one thing's for certain is the job market is in a huge transition. I think you can decide how you view it. For me, I am an eternal optimist, and I think there's going to be a lot of positive stuff that comes out of it. So don't stand still is my advice. Just keep looking around, keep learning, try stuff, jump on YouTube, jump on Google Skills. Just go and learn stuff. And I think the other thing to note of all of this stuff is that the real benefit comes through intense use. Don't be one of those people that be like, oh yeah, I tried to do a prompt on Gemini and the answer wasn't very good, and yeah, it's not great. No, be the person that's like, you try it, you prompt, it comes back with stuff, you reprompt, you can't reprompt. Some of my conversations on Gemini or whatever, it's like constant. Think of it as like, you're speaking to a human, you're training a human. It might not know what you want it to do the first time, and it comes back with something pretty decent, and actually you've got some proprietary knowledge or some insight, and you're asking it, and you just keep reiterating. It really comes in. Use it intensely, and you will really see the benefit. So, and story three, and this is Sam Altman. Sam Altman, as you know, is the CEO of OpenAI, and again, he was at Davos like all of the tech CEOs, and he laid out his roadmap, the 3-year prophecy. I thought was really interesting. So specifically, 2025 is the year of agents. So coding, tasks. 2026 is, well, 2025 was. 2026 is year of scientific discovery, so creating knowledge. And 2027 is when AI moves into the physical world with robots becoming serious economic creators of value. Let's see if that becomes true. I think we're already seeing the agents. I mean, 2025 for sure, and we're really seeing it feed into 2026. And yes, I'd love to see a lot of scientific discovery and advances in medicine and science. I think AI is going to play a wonderful part in that sector. So that's going to be really interesting to see. He also argues, and he has this higher abstraction thing that he argues that we're going to curate rather than execute. And this goes back a little bit to this micro directing and the macro work that the AI agents are going to do. I think there's all of these tech CEOs vary and thinking about different timelines and this and that. I think for me, from what I'm seeing on the front line, from my own work in exec search, from everyone I speak to, is that so many people are using AI agents, LLMs, to make themselves that much more efficient. And you can imagine it's you directing all of these little agents and models doing all of the macro work that would have taken you an awful long time to do. So it's worth using intensely. I think it's going to hold so much economic value for firms, but also for yourself. If you think about yourself and your career as a business, you're the CEO, and suddenly it's you powered by all of these different tools. Then, wow! I mean, it's going to be absolutely incredible. So that's what I think. I think for me, my big takeaway, and I've said this a lot, and I'm going to say this again, is the human skills. These are the things that you can control. With all this knowledge work and research and all of that stuff, you can be the orchestrator, and you're compiling all this data and all the information and stuff, depending on what you do. But the human stuff, the empathy, the leadership, the connection, your ability to build relationships with people, that's what's gonna get you the promotion. That's what's gonna get you the next job. That's what's get you the phone call about that hidden job that hasn't even come to market yet. So quadruple down on that and try and learn absolutely everything that's in the market, and you'll be in a good spot. Hope that helps.